Hello, hello, Sophie. How are you today and where are you dialing from?
Hi, Kate. I'm in Trinidad and
Oh,
Tobago in the Caribbean.
wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for taking your time today and joining my hot seat session where we help companies all over the world to address their blind spots and gain competitive edge with the help of our wonderful mentors, which is you. So, first of all, I'd like to learn more about you.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me, first and foremost. I am born in the Caribbean in Martinique, and I came here when I was 6. And my career, I'm pretty much a Trini, French Trini. So my career started as an educator in special education, and I'm a proud mother of 8 children. And I was blessed to be able to be a stay-at-home mom, but I just was driven to go back into schools all the time. So in between having my kids, I did part-time teaching, remedial teaching, regular teaching in regular schools and classrooms from kindergarten to grade 12. And then I transitioned into parenting training. When I realized I needed to change some of my parenting styles, I went into some rewiring of my brain and reprogramming of myself. And I went into parent training and then teacher training because I was a teacher and the program I was offering was able to be used in classrooms. And then 10 years ago, I transitioned to corporate training, and it's all so similar. It's all about the relationships and how we communicate with others. So I've been in the corporate training, neuro-leadership training for the last 10 years. And then I always wanted to be a psychologist. And when I came across the field of coaching, I said, right, that's my path to being something like a psychologist or counselor. And I studied psychology all my life. And so I became a certified coach, I think in 2018 or so. That's where I am today. And I'm just so eager to be serving in this capacity as mentor and coach to help people be happy and have better lives with better communication.
Thank you so much for the introduction. And today we're going to talk about a very interesting topic I know nothing about personally, which is how DISC personality styles can help you manage your team members. And my first question to you is, of course, what are exactly DISC personality styles?
Okay, so personality styles have been tests have been processed, have been produced by many different people, but the DISC is a very popular one right now. And the 4 styles are the dominant, D for dominant, I for influence, S for steadiness, and C for conscientious. And so basically, the analysts have seen patterns, they've observed patterns cross-culturally all over the world with human behavior. And this is what they've come up with. They've noticed that there's a dominant style, and I'm going to bring in something here that it's a pet of mine, and it's the taking flight and the chameleon. And it's a takeoff, it's a parable that was created off of DISC by Merrick Rosenberg. So some people might just love this analogy that the dominant could be looked at as the eagle. And so this style tends to be like a driven person, direct, very confident and action-oriented, but demanding, and sometimes lacking in empathy, right? And then the influencer, the I for the DISC, we like to refer to that as the parrot in the taking flight parable. And just to think of the parrot who's noisy and flying everywhere and social, always flying in groups, outgoing, passionate person, values freedom of expression, is influential, likes to persuade people, okay, and is creative. So that person is a really bubbly person to have in an organization. Then the S is for steadiness. And what bird do you think represents steadiness? Take a guess.
Oh, I don't know. I might take too much time thinking, but I'm not steadiness. No, no idea.
Okay, it's the dove. It's the dove. So the
Oh, I
dove,
would never guess.
yeah, so the dove style, that person tends to be a peacemaker and values cooperation and mutual support and has a lot of empathy and compassion. they tend to downplay their needs a bit. They're good listeners, and then there's the C that stands for conscientious. So that personality trait, do you want to guess what bird that one is? Anybody out there wants to guess?
So
All right.
actually, I would say something like parrot because they usually they're pretty smart as far as I know. But
It's
we already have
owl.
parrot.
It's the owl.
Owl,
Yes.
also a great fit.
So they're task-oriented, detail-oriented, analytical, loves systematic thinking, and values objectivity over emotional connection. So I guess we can all start thinking of the people we know who have these styles. Now, the disc, I've just presented you the 4 main styles, but there are really 12 because people are often a combination. Okay, so by the time you look at all the different combinations, it's 12 personality styles that we have there.
Just like phlegmatic, sanguinic, we don't have just pure types. We have different ones, combinations. So I absolutely agree. And now I'm interested. Do you know, or can you tell me about some real life situations where the knowledge of the DISC personality styles has made a huge impact on team's performance?
Absolutely. So I work with a company called Growth Opportunities Limited, who offers this training in Trinidad. And it's in recent years we've started bringing this little assessment as part of our training. And we've had people in companies say, oh my gosh, now I understand why my boss just doesn't really, entertain me or take me on so much when I go to him. Because the eagle, tend to be the leaders, and they're direct. They want you to come in and be straight to the point, get to the crux of the matter and leave. Whereas, of course, if an I influence parrot person goes to the boss, they want to explain and go into details and so on. And the dominant style person just doesn't really have the patience for that sometimes. It's just a tendency. These are just tendencies and traits. So it's a great relief to someone in an organization. And then there's other examples, a whole team we did it with, and they were just like, oh, right, that explains why, that person does not respond to me when so. And it just helps so much with understanding why people are behaving the way they are. And I just want to mention, we can't hang everything on the personality styles. We can't hang everybody's behavior on that. There are so many other reasons why people behave and do what they do or don't do what they don't do because of their subconscious programming and their upbringing and just life that happened to them, the conditioning that they experienced, their past traumas. We don't absolutely hang everything on these personality styles. Absolutely not. That would be, I think, an attribution error. Sally posted something about that in the chat earlier this week. Yeah, it really can make a huge difference, which I know we're about to go into.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. It's not always about personality styles. It's about life. It's about experience. But, it leads me to my next question. But what challenges can companies face, leaders face when they actually neglect their, employees' unique personality styles? I know sometimes it's experience, sometimes it's just life, a bad day. But if they neglect your personality style, what can company encounter? What bad can happen?
Oh man, so much. And this is what is happening in a lot of companies, okay? We know a lot of companies are struggling with lack of engagement. They have people who are not so motivated. People are leaving. There's high employee turnover. There's lack of harmony and collaboration. Why? And of course, lack of efficiency and productivity. Because people are demotivated and not happy when they're not understanding others. It's all about understanding other people's personalities. It's about having compassion to understand that person is the way they are because of their temperament, because of their personality style. They don't mean to be cold-faced and hard-faced and hard-hearted. They are just operating on another operating system. They are driven. That's the eagle. They're direct. Or that's the owl. They are task-oriented. They are very focused on achieving whatever it is in front of them. And so it really can reduce conflict. It can reduce misunderstanding. It can reduce being judgmental of others. And so, harmony is just increased when people understand, oh, he's an owl and that's why he's not X, Y, and Z. And oh, she's a dove, so that's why she just talks so much. Or the parrot, sorry, she's an I, the parrot style. So she's bubbly and vivacious and effervescent. And okay, so it really helps reduce our judgmental tendencies and our expectations. It helps us manage our expectations of others and to realize, okay, I need to speak to that person in that way. Now, the taking flight parable is called "and the chameleon," because the chameleon is the one that changes colors. So this is what we strive for, and that's what this program can help us strive for, is to be able to flex, to be able to adjust our behavior, our expectations, our style a bit, to be able to interact more positively with our colleagues and our teammates. You see, happy people produce more. So that's what we're about. It's about helping people have more harmony in their relationships and better communication. And of course, the better communication that leads to better harmony, better relationships. Yeah.
Thank you. I absolutely agree with this. But let's imagine that the company, after your conversation, for example, the company do acknowledge that they would like to introduce disc styles into their, team building practices and etc. But, theory can only take you so far. How, as a mentor, can you help companies ensure that the theory and the insights they gain about their employees from these, styles, how can you help turn them into actionable steps to actually, build a better team?
Okay, well, that's where our mentorship and our coaching skills come into to use. We interact one-to-one with the person who is seeking help and support in having more collaboration in their team. And we walk and we journey with them. It doesn't happen overnight. We can't change our behaviors overnight. It's awareness, it's growth. It's all about growth and awareness, and all that takes time. Knowledge is power, I think, most of the time. And so it's a partnership that we must develop with people who want to grow, who want to understand their colleagues and teammates better, and who want to see things improve and excel in their organization. So it's really a partnership, and it's a journey that has to happen over a period of time to guide. And of course, there's monitoring that needs to take place. So yeah, it's a process.
So it's a process, but are there any steps maybe you can add? So, like something that they can remember, maybe a few points to remember.
Well, certainly, there just needs to be, people need to educate themselves about the various styles. They need to obviously take the assessments. And I'd like to mention here that there is another assessment style that's, I think, recently brought out and it's called Principles U. I don't know if any of you follow Adam Grant and Ray Dalio. Ray Dalio wrote Principles, and Adam
I know
Grant,
him.
right? And Adam Grant is an organizational psychologist at Wharton or Harvard, one of those universities, and they have done a lot of research cross-culturally for years, like 20 years, and they've come up with this new one, Principles U. So there are other programs, assessments people can use and follow. It's all about resolving differences, and it just helps in problem solving. It facilitates excellent team communication. It boosts the efficiency and the productivity. And in recruitment, it helps one be more accurate in recruitment.
A great point about recruitment. Once or if you know right from the onboarding how your employee is like, what kind of person your employee is, it's way better to manage his workflow.
Yes, I would like to say that in addition to these sort of assessments, it's good to explore emotional intelligence as well. I think Sean Aco said that 75% of our success is based on emotional intelligence and only 25% on IQ, something like that. So it's important to bear in mind that we don't just rely on these assessments. We can rely on our intuition, our inner guidance, and not put too much weight on these assessments. There's so many other things to consider.
Okay. Maybe maybe you can tell us a little bit more about this. What else they should consider? Maybe you can add up as a mentor. Since you
Well,
said it's not the only option to go with, maybe you can tell us a little bit more. Spill some tea.
yeah. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, we really, in our neuro-leadership training that we offer, we really spend time on helping people to understand their subconscious programming.
Mm-hmm.
That is so critical because people don't realize the power of their brain and their mind, their thoughts. Our program is actually called New Thinking, just to help us realize that we can change our thinking and we can learn to appreciate what drives our behavior and that of others, as is in my blurb that you put in the post promoting our chat today. So,
Absolutely. That's why I like hearing, about your expertise, what more you can offer. Because yeah, as you said, it's not always about personality styles. Sometimes it's about your brain capacity. Sometimes it's about and etc. And I love hearing what you're saying right now.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we all have some sort of trauma. Another thing you have in my post, in the post about me, is that I'm a safe and sound protocol provider. And
Mm-hmm.
that is about and you mentioned it about emotional regulation. And so we really need to consider what people have experienced in their life, and always give them the benefit of the doubt. I love in companies to help my participants to think of the person that they really don't get along with, the person who rubs them the wrong way, the person who gives out the vibes that are not so pleasant. Here in the Caribbean, we love reggae and we know about Bob Marley, and Bob Marley, one of his songs is Rastaman Vibration. So in my training, I always say it's Bob Marley's vibes, Rastaman Vibration. It's neuroception. Dr. Stephen Porges is now getting very, very well recognized with his polyvagal theory about the vibes that we give out, our neuroception, our attunement to others. And so we don't even realize that we are giving out vibrations just by our thoughts. We can all relate to walking into a room and just not feeling connected to some people and yet feeling very connected to others, right? That's neuroception, and that is coming from a place where people did not feel safe or where they felt threatened. So in my programs, I always get my participants to think of that person that they don't get along with, or they don't like, or they have judged as being so hard, or they have a brick wall, you can't get through to them. We all know personalities like that, and I like to challenge my participants to stand in their shoes or imagine what they left when they left at home, when they left home that day. I've told my teachers this as well in the remote parts of Trinidad where I did teacher training. You don't know what those students walked out, what they left their home with that morning. Were they witnessing abuse of their parents? Have they eaten? Maybe they haven't eaten since the day before. Maybe somebody in your organization is feeling threatened because somebody is trying to get the promotion over them. Maybe they've had some bad experiences in previous organizations, so they've come very guarded and not feeling safe. See, we are all operating we're driven by instinct to strive to feel safe. So when we're feeling threatened, we're just always observing cues of safety and danger. And this is what is happening when we're interacting with people in the workplace and in our families and neighborhoods. So we react.
I absolutely agree. I really like that we had just enough time to not just cover personality types, but also cover more of your expertise because this way you showed us that you shouldn't just pay attention to personality styles, you should also pay to your employees' life, their traumas, their problems, their brain capacity. I absolutely loved hearing this. Our conversation turned out even better than I expected. I really enjoyed having this. Thank you so much for joining my hot seat session. I hope if our audience enjoyed this conversation as much as I did, I highly encourage you to check the caption and see how you can work with Sophie to solve your company's problems. So thank you, Sophie. Have a great rest of the day, and I can't wait to see you thriving in our community.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure and a privilege to be here with you, Kate, and the community. Thank you, everyone who listened in.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.